Is there a way to outsmart Genie Plus to get the most lightning lanes, the best extra perks, and the lowest prices possible in Disney World? You know it. Find out today here on DFE Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and today's video is all about that premium planning tool, Disney Genie. Genie is located on the My Disney Experience app and provides on-the-go planning tools and customized itineraries to help you maximize your time in the parks. Now, while the customized itineraries are a complimentary service, there are also two premium add-ons, Disney Genie Plus and those individual lightning lanes that you can pay for to unlock lightning lane benefits, which will allow you to bypass the main queue lines of rides in exchange for much shorter waits. The lightning lanes can become a major key for experiencing as many rides in a single day as possible. It can also feel overwhelming when you first hear about it. And if you don't do your research ahead of time, you can end up wasting your money and your time on these features rather than benefiting from them. So it's a good thing you're here, because our goal for today's video is not just to set you up for lightning lane success, but to help you outsmart this premium service. We've got all the hacks for you today. I promise they're all legal. Now, before we get into how to outsmart Disney Genie and make sure we get our money's worth from it, let's make sure you're familiar with the difference between Disney Genie Plus and individual lightning lanes, because knowing which is going to be vital for understanding the tips we've got for you today. Disney Genie Plus lets you select return times for one ride at a time for the lightning lanes of over 40 attractions. The prices for Genie Plus start at $15 per day per ticket in Disney World and $25 per day per ticket in Disneyland. Meanwhile, individual lightning lanes take on more of an a la carte approach. For people wishing to ride Disney's most popular attractions without a wait, individual lightning lanes are a separate paid upcharge. These allow guests to select return times to enter the lightning lanes for a maximum of 2 specific, more popular attractions, which won't be available on the regular Genie Plus lineup. These include Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Magic Kingdom and soon-to-be Tron Light Cycle Run in Magic Kingdom 2, we think, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind in Epcot, Flight of Passage in Disney's Animal Kingdom, Rise of the Resistance in Disney's Hollywood Studios and Disneyland, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway in Disneyland, and Radiator Springs Racers in Disney California Adventure. So, to recap, Genie Plus, pay one price and get to wait in shorter lines for a bunch of attractions. Individual lightning lanes, pay per ride and get to wait in shorter lines for the most popular attractions, which are not included in your Genie Plus that you bought earlier. Got it? Okay. Pricing is based per ticket per single ride through for those individual lightning lanes, and prices range between $10 and $22 per ride in Disney World and $7 and $25 per ride in Disneyland. All right, so we're off to an intense start, but once you can differentiate between Genie Plus and individual lightning lanes, you'll be able to start adapting the useful tips and hacks we've got for you today like a pro. So let's get started. First up is an easy one. This is how you're going to pay less for lightning lanes. You know how I mentioned that Disney Genie Plus starts at $15 per person per day? Depending on the circumstances, that price could surge way higher. Like, we're talking $29 per person per day instead, which for a family of 4 could be the difference of paying an extra $60 versus an extra $116. Same thing goes for individual lightning lanes. Prices per person could be as low as $7 to $10 per ride through, but they could also peak around the $22 to $25 price range too. This also depends on which individual lightning lanes you want to pay for, since the less popular ones are going to be cheaper than like Rise of the Resistance on any given day. Regardless, how can you avoid spending the maximum amount of money on either or both of these premium services? The tricky thing with surge pricing for lightning lanes is that unlike park tickets and hotel rooms, you're not going to know the exact price you'll be paying for Genie Plus or individual lightning lanes until the day of your visit. But don't worry, we've been tracking the price changes regardless, and we've definitely been able to pinpoint a couple of recurring patterns. Almost every time Genie Plus has skyrocketed to its peak prices, it's been on a Saturday. The cheapest days tend to be Tuesdays and Thursdays, which we often see listed for at that minimum $15 per person per day. And that's because crowd levels tend to dwindle during the middle of the week too. Now, this of course does not apply to those super busy seasons like Thanksgiving week and the days after Christmas, which will see Lightning Lane prices consistently skyrocket. But if you want a better chance at buying Genie Plus in Disney World or Disneyland for the cheapest possible price, try planning your trip so that you're there during the middle of the week instead of the busy weekend. Next on our list of tips and hacks is setting your group up for success ahead of time so you don't waste a bunch of time in the parks. So no group member gets left behind, not on our watch. So let's make sure your entire travel party, your whole family, is going to be able to get Lightning Lanes via one centralized account. That's the easiest way to do this. When preparing to make Lightning Lane selections, it's really important to connect your account with the accounts of all your friends and family members who are going to go on those rides with you. If you're not connected, things get much more complicated because everyone has to get their own Lightning Lane and you may not get the same times. So it's much easier just having one person book Lightning Lanes for everybody in the group. Even if you're just planning a trip with friends and won't be using Genie Plus, connecting to each other's accounts can make it easier to share plans and coordinate, get everybody on the same dining reservation, etc. But how do you connect to the accounts of friends and family members for those who already have pre-existing Disney profiles? Well, on the My Disney Experience app, you'll be able to track down a feature called a linking code. To find your own linking code, tap on the 3 horizontal lines on the bottom right-hand side of your app, then hit My Profile. Once you're there, go to Show My Linking Code. What you'll find is a unique QR code made for you and only you, and once someone scans this linking QR code of yours, you'll be automatically added to their friends and family list. There's also a manual code listed as well, just in case your family member isn't close enough to scan your QR code when you reveal it. Both the manual and QR code expire after 30 minutes, so if someone waits too long to type it in, you'll have to go back to your profile and pull up a new one. No biggie, but just so you know. Now, if your friend or a family member wants to scan a linking code to connect to you instead, here's what you'll need to do. First, select My Profile and then Friends and Family List, then scroll down to where it says Add a Guest. The app will ask how you want to add said guest, and you'll select Scan their linking code. From there, you'll scan your friend or family member's linking code when they have it up on their phone, or you can manually enter it if that's easier for you. And there you go. Now you're connected, you're linked up, and you can make reservations for everybody. Super useful for park passes, dining reservations, and Genie Plus. Next, let's talk about the 120-minute rule and how you can use it to get more Lightning Lanes. So on the Disney website, it states that with the purchase of Disney Genie Plus, you should be able to select up to 2 to 3 Lightning Lanes per day. But that's not exactly true. There's the possibility of you getting triple that amount if you know how to play your cards right. And a big part of playing your cards right is knowing when exactly to use the 120-minute rule to essentially stack your Lightning Lane reservations throughout the day. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about how you can pull this trick off. After you make your first Lightning Lane selection, you'll only be able to make another after A, you've used it and are ready to book another, B, your first return time window has ended if you miss it, or C, 120 minutes have passed since you booked your last one, and the parks are already open. Now for that third option, the 120-minute rule potion, that's going to let you book another Lightning Lane 2 hours after reserving your previous one if the return time for the first Lightning Lane is more than 2 hours away. For example, let's say that at 9 a.m. you booked a Haunted Mansion Lightning Lane with a return time of 2 p.m. You don't have to wait until 2 p.m. to make another Lightning Lane reservation. Instead, 2 hours after you made your Haunted Mansion reservation, you can make another one. So at 11 a.m., you can choose another attraction and you'll still have the 2 p.m. Haunted Mansion reservation. Pretty cool, right? If you booked your first Lightning Lane at 7 a.m. though, the 2 hours don't start until the park's opening time. So if you book a Lightning Lane for later in the day at 7 a.m., but the park opens at 9, you can book the next one at 11 a.m., 2 hours after park opening. Keep in mind this is different for Disneyland since all guests won't be able to start booking their Lightning Lanes until the park's officially open for the day over there. When Disney Genie Plus was first released, this rule was sort of hush-hush. It was definitely still true, but Disney didn't talk about it. But now Disney has updated their Genie Plus website to include several rules that guests need to follow with the new Skip the Line system. And one of the rules they included just so happens to be this 120-minute bestie. If you've lost track of time and you're not exactly sure when you booked your last Lightning Lane, you can check the Genie Plus section on your My Disney Experience app because it's going to tell you if you're way too early to make that second selection and advise you as to when you can make your next one. By using this strategy, we've been able to collect so many more Lightning Lanes than the website promises. We've even been able to snag all 12 lightning lanes in Disney's Hollywood Studios in one day, which really makes this service worth your money. Now, this is a relatively new situation that we absolutely love, and that's that you can now modify your lightning lanes to get something better. See, sometimes you'll have to make a lightning lane selection that wasn't really your first choice, but it's the best choice available at the time you're searching. But what you're currently seeing listed for lightning lanes isn't necessarily going to be how it's going to look all day, because sometimes Disney surprises you with more availability, people cancel their lightning lanes, or sometimes new options open up. We often see extra ride times pop up throughout the day, which is why it's so important to keep checking the My Disney Experience app and refreshing the page and crossing your fingers. But what if you do find a lightning lane selection you're wanting more than the one you have? In the past, Genie Plus users couldn't modify lightning lane selections in the My Disney Experience app without canceling their first one, and that'd mean their 120-minute countdown would start over anytime a cancellation was made, and that is super frustrating. But back in December of 2022, Disney changed that. Now you can modify your lightning lane reservations without having to cancel them completely, and that means even if you modify your lightning lane for a different return time or a different ride entirely, you still won't lose your 120-minute countdown that you've already spent a lot of time on. And that's much better. If need be, you can also change specific members within your group who are attached to your lightning lane reservation before submitting any changes, in case someone wants to bow out and not go on the screaming metal death trap that is Tower of Terror, or come face to face with a Yeti on Expedition Everest, etc., etc. Modifications are super easy to make too. Just tap on your current lightning lane selection to pull up a box of options. You'll find one of the listed options to be Modify Plans. Super easy. Now, next on our list of ways to outsmart Genie is skipping the virtual queues. This point is going to be crucial for anyone wanting to prioritize riding Tron Light Cycle Run when it opens in Magic Kingdom on April 4th, 2023, so listen up. When this new high-speed coaster opens in Tomorrowland, it's not going to have a normal queue. Not immediately, that is. Instead, it'll use a virtual queue system that Disney's been implementing for its newer rides to help manage the crowds and make sure guests won't be waiting in a line that'll eat up most of their park day. Currently, this is how guests ride Cosmic Rewind in Epcot. The process sounds great, and it really does work in your favor if you're able to get a spot in the virtual queue, but the key word here is if. The big downside to virtual queues: if you're unable to snag a boarding group number on the My Disney Experience app at 7 a.m. or 1 p.m., which will guarantee you a spot in line, then you're going to miss your window of opportunity to ride, period. No pressure, right? The other big problem with virtual queues is that boarding groups are snatched up almost immediately after they go live. I'm talking 10 seconds after that 7 a.m. drop. All the boarding groups are gone. So if you get on the My Disney Experience app just a few seconds too late, or your Wi-Fi connection decides to cut out on you at the worst possible time, it could cost you a Tron ride. But you do have another way to get on this coveted ride, and it's through the individual lightning lanes process. If you opt for this plan B instead of trying to get a boarding group number, you can bypass the virtual queue entirely. Though individual lightning lanes for brand new rides still get bought up within minutes of their releases each day, they could still buy you a couple more minutes and get snatched up less quickly than the free boarding groups do. To buy an individual lightning lane for Tron quickly, follow these easy steps. 1. Head to the My Disney Experience app, go to the Genie section. 2. Tap on the My Day option. If you downloaded the My Disney Experience app ahead of time and already let the free version of Genie know your park preferences for your trip, then you may have this desired ride already listed as a recommended activity. This can make it way easier to track down those individual lightning lanes in a jiffy. Otherwise, you can head to the tip board section, choose the park you'll be visiting, and scroll down to the attraction you're wanting to purchase an individual lightning lane for. Once you've found the ride you want to purchase lightning lanes for, you'll tap the purchase button and follow the prompts from there. Keep in mind that those staying at a Disney World-owned resort will have the first dibs for individual lightning lanes each day. While Genie Plus lightning lanes go live for everyone starting at 7 a.m., individual lightning lanes go live at 7 a.m. only for Disney Hotel guests. Everyone else will have to pay for individual lightning lanes after the parks open for the day, which will probably be too late for the Tron Light Cycle Run groups. Of course, individual lightning lanes for brand new rides will be awfully pricey, so it's understandable if you want to try the free boarding group option first, and may the odds be ever in your favor. I'll link our DFB posts about all things boarding groups and virtual queues down in the description below for you to study up on your own time. By the way, we don't have a price for the Tron individual lightning lanes yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be in the $17 to $25 range. Now remember, you can also continue using Genie Plus perks after your trip. You definitely want to get as much out of your purchase as possible. And you might be shocked to hear it, but Genie Plus can offer you more benefits than just the lightning lanes. And there are about to be even more than there already are. But you'll have to wait till the next point to hear about those. One of Genie Plus's extra features include augmented reality photo lenses for both Disney World and Disneyland. Many of these Disney PhotoPass lenses are available to use around Disney property, but some of them will only be available in specific parts of the park, like the one over at Remy's Ratatouille Adventure that'll give you a little chef under your toque blanche. That being said, a few of the Disney PhotoPass lenses will stick around on your phone for up to 45 days after your visit, meaning you can still mess around with them from the comfort of your living room while you're busy coping with the fact that your trip has already come to an end. Not judging, this is totally relatable. Another cool feature on Genie Plus is the audio experiences featuring Disney Imagineers and special guests. These audio experiences share fun facts about the attractions and other areas of the lands around you, meaning you'll receive your own private park tour. All right, remember how I talked about those extra perks coming your way? This is the next way to outsmart Disney Genie. Currently, Disneyland guests that are using Genie Plus can also enjoy unlimited PhotoPass downloads from their day, which makes that extra cost a little easier to swallow. But Disney recently announced that in the next few months, guests who purchase Disney Genie Plus and Disney World will start to get free digital PhotoPass downloads too. Now, this still doesn't mean you're going to receive as many PhotoPass pictures as you would over in Disneyland, but you'll still get those in-ride downloadable photos from attractions like Space Mountain, Slinky Dog Dash, Test Track, Expedition Everest, and lots more included with your Disney Genie Plus purchase that day. We're not sure when exactly this new feature is going to drop, but we'll let you know just as soon as we hear about a set date. Now, the next way to outsmart Disney Genie, keep an eye on lightning lanes for your second park. Okay, question. Can you make lightning lane reservations for multiple parks if you've got a park hopper ticket? Answer. Absolutely, but there's a catch. If you purchase a Disney World theme park ticket with park hopper benefits, you're going to have to wait to book a lightning lane at the park you're planning on hopping to until the return time reaches 2 p.m. or later for all guests for those particular rides. Now, this is different from how it was when Genie Plus originally dropped. So if you went to Disney World at the beginning of Genie Plus, this may be different, so pay attention. Okay, let me give you an example to help clear things up. Let's say you decide to spend the first part of your day in Animal Kingdom, but later on you're planning on park hopping over to Magic Kingdom. You want to book a lightning lane for Space Mountain first, since you know those lightning lanes tend to get snatched up pretty quickly, but you're not going to be able to do that. Not when you're starting your day in Animal Kingdom. In this instance, you'll have to wait until all Space Mountain lightning lanes prior to 2 p.m. have been booked by those starting their day in that park. And this makes sense, right? You can't park hop to your second park of the day until after 2 p.m. anyway. So why bother grabbing a lightning lane for a return time that's earlier than that? But this is where things get tricky. If you're wanting to park hop to Magic Kingdom and you also want to get a lightning lane for Space Mountain, you're going to have to keep checking on those Disney Genie Plus times for your second park, as well as your current park, because you never know when Space Mountain's return times are going to hit 2 p.m. and later. It could be in an hour, in 2 hours, maybe even 30 minutes after park opening. It can feel like a ticking time bomb for sure. Just don't miss out on lightning lanes you can get right now while you have them, because Animal Kingdom's lightning lanes will be obtainable for you just as soon as the clock strikes 7 a.m. Now, is this rule annoying? Absolutely. Nobody wants to have to keep checking their phone over and over and over again to see when Space Mountain's lightning lanes are going to get to after 2 p.m. But alas, this is the world we live in right now, and hopefully they'll change it in the future. Next on our list is making the most out of a stressful situation. Okay, so what happens when the ride you paid for to get an individual lightning lane isn't cooperating with your plans? Like it's experiencing some major technical difficulties on the day of your visit. Does that mean you're going to lose all that money you forked over? So no. This is where the experience redemption comes into play. If you happen to find yourself with an individual lightning lane for a ride that closes and stays that way throughout your designated return time, then you'll get an experience redemption, which is basically a boarding pass that lets you ride that attraction any time of the day after it reopens. For example, this happens all the time at poor Rise of the Resistance in Disney's Hollywood Studios. So if the Resistance decides to, resist working, then the My Disney Experience app should automatically update your individual lightning lane and make it an experience redemption instead, which you'll be able to use whenever you want after the ride is back up and running again. But worst case scenario, what if the ride doesn't go back online for the day? What if it's down for good? If the ride doesn't reopen at any point during that day, then you qualify for a refund. But unlike the experience experience redemption, which will automatically be added to your Disney Genie plans, you'll need to ask for that refund in person. Make your way to guest relations and ask for a refund if it's announced that the ride will be closed for the rest of the day. This is the only way you're going to be able to get a refund for individual lightning lanes, by the way. If you purchase one and decide later on that you don't actually want or need it, you're not going to be able to get your money back. But in general, if you have any day of questions about Genie Plus or individual lightning lanes or lightning lanes whatsoever, guest relations located at the front of each park is a good place to go to get things sorted out and clarified, so you don't have to stress over figuring it all out yourself. Now, this next tip is kind of in the same vein as the last one. Hypothetical situation. Let's say you end up snagging a Slinky Dog Dash lightning lane, a ride that your kids are super excited to finally experience for the first time, but the next available return window you were given is the exact same time as your Sci-Fi Dine-In dining reservation that you made in advance 60 days ago. What do you do now? Okay, well, when we've asked cast members about how we should best juggle this dilemma, because it's silly that you have to book your dining reservation 60 days in advance and you can't book any lightning lanes until the day of, how in the world are you supposed to manage around all the other plans you made, right? Well, in the past, cast members have told us to prioritize our dining reservations over rides. They say it's much easier to keep your dining reservation and instead ask to speak to cast members about your lightning lane reservation at either the location of the ride or over at guest relations. They may not be able to change your lightning lane time, but more often than not, they could make adjustments for you. After all, they want you to spend money at the restaurant, so if the only thing keeping you from paying $25 per person in your group for an entree is a lightning lane time clash, they'll see what they can do to make sure everyone wins. Now, if you'd rather try to change your dining time, that can be a little trickier, especially with more popular restaurants like Sci-Fi Dine-In. But there is still the possibility that you could try finding a different dining reservation time on the dining tips board on the My Disney Experience app. And if you're really in a pinch and just want to throw away the dining reservation altogether, you can always cancel your table without a cancellation fee as long as it's at least 2 hours before the reservation time. But don't forget about that handy dandy modification option we talked about earlier for your lightning lanes, because you may be able to find a new time frame for your lightning lane the next time you check. In conclusion, you have options, but if we were in your shoes, we'd choose dining all the way. Now, remember too that you can skip the lines for more than just rides. Disney's rides don't hog all the lightning lanes. Several shows and meet and greet opportunities have lightning lanes available on Genie Plus too. Here's a list of all the different non-ride attractions that offer lightning lanes. Note, I'll put an asterisk by the attractions that can actually benefit from the lightning lanes, since a lot of them aren't really going to need them. For Magic Kingdom's Festival of Fantasy reserved viewing, you'll be given a return window for one of the parade showings. Once it's time to come back, report to the Castle Hub directly in front of the statue of Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse, aka the partner statue. Here you'll find a roped off area for parade viewing. Once you scan in with the cast members manning the roped off area, you can step inside and claim your spot to watch the parade. And another great tip to OUTSMART Genie is figure out what you need to prioritize. It's time for you to make your first lightning lane selection of the day, so which one do you choose? Which ones sell out the fastest? Which one does it make sense to get first? Well, this is no time to freeze up like a deer in headlights, my friends. You need to have a game plan for when those lightning lanes first go live at 7 a.m. What you're going to learn is that some rides are more important than others to prioritize, simply because of how popular they are. These lightning lanes tend to book up quickly in the morning and run out of spots by the end of the day. Yep, that's right, friends. Just because you've purchased Disney Genie Plus does not mean you're guaranteed every lightning lane you want, so you gotta strategize. That's why you're here with us at DFB. Now here's a little cheat sheet for you, just in case you want to know which Genie Plus rides tend to get booked up the fastest each day. In Animal Kingdom, Kilimanjaro Safaris and Navi River Journey go fast. Over at Hollywood Studios, you're going to want to snag Slinky Dog Dash, Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, and Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. I know, that sounds like all the Hollywood Studios rides, but if you're really trying to narrow it down, Slinky Dog Dash's main queue line tends to be the worst to wait in, so you may want to choose that one above the rest, especially if you have younger kids in your group that won't be able to get on the bigger attractions like Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror. The Epcot rides that fill up the fastest are Soarin', Frozen Ever After, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and Test Track. I'd probably aim for Frozen or Remy first, though, since they're newer and well-loved by all ages. And as far as Magic Kingdom is concerned, well, there's a lot of popular rides here. You got Peter Pan's Flight, Jungle Cruise, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Haunted Mansion, Space Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean. So once again, it all depends on your group, but if you've got a bunch of adrenaline junkies in your party, you may want to stick with Big Thunder Mountain and Space Mountain. Want to check out the pros and cons for every Disney World ride? Check out our YouTube playlists where we rank them all when you get the chance. And probably the best tip to outsmart Disney Genie is to not buy Disney Genie, at least not for every park. The great thing about Lightning Lanes is that you don't have to pay for them every day of your trip. You can pick and choose when you want to use Genie Plus, since you won't be able to pay for it until midnight on the day of your visit anyway. So which parks do we usually get Genie Plus for, and which do we tend to skip out on to save that extra cost? Well, Magic Kingdom has a lot of rides and is generally considered one of the most hustling and bustling parks out of the 4. So using Genie Plus over there makes sense. Same thing with Hollywood Studios, because Hollywood Studios is filled with a lot of heavy hitter rides. The lines get outrageous, making Genie Plus a nice little crutch to have during your day. Epcot and Animal Kingdom, on the other hand, don't feel as necessary. Epcot has several B-tier rides that you won't really need those Lightning Lane benefits for, and Animal Kingdom doesn't have a whole lot of rides in its park to begin with, so you might just want to skip over those extra expenses for either park. And here's an upset for you to consider. You may not want to purchase Disney Genie Plus or individual Lightning Lanes at all. If your day in Disney World isn't complete until you've been on nearly every attraction the park has to offer, then yeah, Genie Plus probably makes sense for you. But if you're not trying to ride every ride and just want to go with the flow, it could be a waste of money for your family. Not only that, if you're heading to Disney World on a day that's not very crowded, chances are you probably don't need to use Genie Plus unless you or someone in your party really hates lines, like me. Because, oh my goodness, it's a pain to buy Genie Plus in the morning only to realize later on that you didn't actually need it. This happens to me a lot in Disneyland. So real quickly, let me tell you about a few ways you can potentially bypass those crowded queues without any Lightning Lane assistance. First, use your hotel benefits. If you're staying at any of the Disney World hotels, you'll have access to early theme park entry, which is going to get you into the parks 30 minutes before they open for everyone else. This could buy you enough time to get in line for one of the most popular rides before the rest of the crowds file in. Or if you're staying at a deluxe Disney World resort, you'll also have access to the extended evening hours, which will allow you to stay in some parks on some nights up to 2 hours after they close for everyone else. This could potentially give you not only shorter ride lines, but also an almost ghost town-like experience around a very empty Disney park. You can also try single rider if it's available. If you're at a ride that has the single rider option and the queue's looking rather intense, there's a good chance you can significantly lower your wait time by choosing the single rider line over the standard line, and it won't cost you a cent extra. Now, single rider isn't always available, but when it is, you can find it at Test Track and Soarin' in Epcot, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run and Rock and Roller Coaster in Hollywood Studios, and Expedition Everest in Animal Kingdom. You can also check on the rides and attractions tip board. Don't forget, Disney Genie has free services too, including its tip boards. Disney Genie's tip boards will keep you in the loop on attraction status, show times, dining availability, current standby wait times, and even forecasted attraction wait times. And you can rope drop or stay late. Even if you're not planning on using early theme park entry or extended evening hours, it's still a good idea to get to the parks by rope drop and or to linger in the parks as they start wrapping up for the day. Rope dropping will still allow you to experience the parks and rides before they start filling up with people, so many people, and you can either get in line for that one really popular ride before it hits its peak wait times for the day, or you can hit up multiple smaller rides that'll still be practically walk-ons around then. And around the end of the day, families will start taking their kids back to the hotels in order to beat the bus crowds and get everyone to bed at a decent hour, or they'll be getting ready to watch those nighttime spectaculars and fireworks shows. If you don't mind skipping out on the fireworks, this could be the perfect time for you to get in line for that one ride that's been at an uber high listed wait all day long. No purchase necessary. One last note for you. Disney Genie Plus rules have a tendency to change frequently. So just because what I've told you during today's video is true now doesn't mean there won't be strategies or adjusted rules for Genie Plus in the future. So keep checking back on our latest news videos for any and all Lightning Lane announcements. And don't forget to sign up for our DFB newsletter, because that's where you're going to get the updates the fastest. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.